Okay, so I'm going to begin by attacking my opponent's case, then I'm going to move on to defend my own. So his value is Kant's categorical imperative, and he essentially says that we have to be intrinsically always valuing human life. However, he never actually provides any warrant from this. For example, we might not be valuing human life in the case of war. We might be viewing it as a necessary ends. So we have to ultimately look that my value of autonomy is outweighing his value of Kant's categorical imperative, because by guaranteeing autonomy, we're essentially guaranteeing the individuality of everyone. We are enabling them to essentially exercise their rights and liberties and become who they want to be. So he never offers any intrinsic warrants for Kant's categorical imperative. Secondly, I'd like to note that Kant's categorical imperative, it's essentially saying is that principles are good because these principles tend to lead to the best overall end situation. However, this only applies with killing. Voluntary euthanasia, it's not actually being the best principle overall, because it's just leading to people who are already costing the government and others tons of money and then them dying. So there's no actually real problematic situations with having valuing human life as Kant's categorical imperative. Moving on to his first contingent, he's talking about how the affirmative side is stripping away human life. However, I've already addressed this, is that if we want to actually enable the individual to become who they are and who they want to be, and essentially exercise the right to life, they should also have to be able to exercise the right to death. There's nothing intrinsically wrong with killing someone. It's just with depriving someone of human life, especially if it's themselves, because what we're essentially doing is we're essentially allowing them to make their own decisions and again exercise their right to life, like in my first contention subpoint A. Moving on to a second contention, he talks about how it disrespects human life, and the doctors is essentially infringing on human dignity. However, I'd like to point out that it's voluntary euthanasia, so the patient is essentially allowing the doctor to do so, and thus no damage to human dignity is being caused. In his third contention, he talks about how it ends the opportunity for closure. However, I'd like to point how it's already a financial burden on the surrounding, on their family members, and on this so. And secondly, if they're making the choice, they're providing themselves more closure because they're essentially allowing themselves to control the situation. So I'm accomplishing his third contention better. Secondly, it's not connected to his value and value criterion framework. In his fourth contention, he talks about how God has essentially ordained this. However, since we're talking about the legality of it, and because the legality of it is separate in the United States, is separate from the actual religious moral significance, we shouldn't be looking to this point. Alright, now his attacks on my point. On my case, he talks about in my value essentially how autonomy does not lead to the rights to life and to the rights to liberty, and how also that he's accomplishing this better because we're allowing them to live longer. However, with the right to life comes the right to death, or essentially the right to control one's own life, including when it ends. So we should be looking ultimately to, if we want to have the right to life and the right to liberty, then we have to first be valuing autonomy. Autonomy is what ultimately has to be achieved first. Moving on to his attack on my first contingent, he talks about how the right to life is on the next side, and essentially again that by extending their lives in voluntary euthanasia, we are better extending the right to life. However, again, I'll like to talk about that.